love doing these episodes because it's so important between finance and real estate. I mean, what else is there? The next big thing, talking about, and this is such a great topic that Brock brought in here, going back to educating our young people into home ownership. So, Brock, we started the thread here with all of this. We talked about appropriate renting. That's fine, appropriately. Where are we falling down, in your opinion, with our young people as far as home ownership? What happened? When did things start to get a little squirrely? And how do we, because you got to define the problem before we can fix the problem. If our young people aren't buying homes, then we got to kind of talk about the problem. So can we peel that back a little bit, please? Where in your opinion, did this begin?
I think it began right around the year 2000. Um, I was still I graduated high school in 1995. There was still that expectation that you were going to be self-sufficient relatively quickly after high school. But shortly thereafter is when it became a trend that every single graduate of high school should be going to college. We've seen huge increases in tuition. We've seen, mass debt uh, uh, incurrence, if you will, with young people going through college, financing their degree, finishing hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. I put myself through college. I spent about 40 grand, roughly, a couple years of community college and off to MSU, kind of paid as I went, took a little bit of loan money as it went, but really didn't end up in too bad a shape student loan wise. But now if we were to have financed our daughter's college education, room, board, the whole deal, we would have been in for a couple $100,000 on that. And it's really hard to come out on the plus side of $200,000 student loan without getting a great job right out of college. And a lot of our young people are not getting great jobs out of college, and some of it is opportunity based, but some of it is just laziness. I'm just going to be honest. It's just you have to be a really hard worker and demonstrate that you're worthy of a great job. Nobody's just going to hand it to you. So um, the problem started probably, in my opinion, about 2000 when we quit and when we quit making our young people move out of the house at 18 and get on with life. I think that was a major mistake. And the number of people that I know now with a child that is 24, 25, 28, 30 living at home, you've just basically permanently crippled your child, right? If your 30-year-old's living with you, they're probably not going to surprise you and all of a sudden hit a home run and be a homeowner at 35. Unless they're saving money and you're setting up a specific plan. These hard conversations about what their life's going to look like really must start as a freshman in high school at the latest, right? With a long-term, hey, we're helping you get ready for life. You're going to be financially independent. We're going to help you get prepared for home ownership by the time you're 30 at the latest.
But please go ahead and emphasize your takes, where you want people, how you do your phone calls, how you do return emails, all that kind of stuff. Please take a couple seconds and share how you want people to get a hold of you.
I really prefer, that they reach out to me on my cell phone, whether it be a phone call or a text. I'll return that communication, every day. It's 517-303-3262. Pardon me. That's the best way to get me. It's going to guarantee you the quickest response.
Brock, how do we encourage people to think about mid-Michigan, not Grand Rapids, not Detroit, not anywhere else? We're talking about mid-Michigan here. How do we
Mhm.
convince them that those numbers that I just mentioned, that average of $403,700, are a little bit high? But go ahead, tell people why they really want to consider here.
Well, if your life is here, if you've got a great job here, this is a great place to grow roots. Our average sales price here is about 225,000. If you're, and I think too, setting the expectation, if you're a first time home buyer and you're in your early 20s, most people work up to what they would call like their dream home. My first home was a home I paid $79,000 for on Foster Street in Lansing, like a 1900s Cape Cod style home, shared driveway with a neighbor, kind of a deal. And it was a starter home, right? Now that same type of starter home probably would go for about 150 right now. If I could go buy the same home right now, it'd be about 150, give or take a couple of dollars. Still an affordable starter home. I do think that we've got, unless you're buying your first home in your 30s and you've been making $100,000 or $150,000 combined if you're married, you probably should be buying a starter home and not targeting your forever home, right? And just because you lived in your parents' forever home doesn't mean that that's where you start, right? It's fine to start in a 1900s built home, work your way up. That's how life is. There aren't very many people that just start out right on third base, right? There's a benefit to working your way up that feeds desire, motivation, accomplishment. Like, I don't mean to jump topics here, but like mental health is like the worst it's ever been. And I think it's part of it is because we're not, we have so much abundance that that people are not working their way up like they were before. They just have everything. And when you just have everything, you're likely to be depressed when things don't go perfectly, or boredom sets in, right? It's really hard to be depressed or bored when you're working your butt off towards the pursuit of a goal. And I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not picking on anybody at all. I recognize there are real mental health issues. I recognize the pandemic was difficult, but I also recognize that much of how people feel good about themselves is tied to hard work and having a definitive purpose for their life. If you are not living a purpose-filled life, you're probably going to struggle with depression. You have to be a contributing member of society.
What do you think is the next big thing secondary to the educating in the real estate? What in the prognostication, you know how I like to do this with you, looking into the crystal ball. Go ahead. That was so good. I'm hoping you got another one like that.
I don't, this is a tougher one for me. The next big thing needs to be part of the solution for creating more inventory and housing. In a lot of these questions, the next big thing is going to come from a company or an idea or an initiative with tremendous reach and financial capabilities to create the next big thing. You have certain companies, you have certain people, you have certain organizations that have the kind of power to change something, right? Like create something brand new, and then we get to kind of live in that benefit or live in that world where we get to make a difference. Do I think I'm a reasonably intelligent human being? Yes, I do. Do I think I'm about as driven as anybody on the planet? Absolutely. Do I think I'm capable of, and I'm just like, I don't, whether you like him or not is irrelevant, but like Elon Musk has built some things that are like, you have to be a genius to do some of these things, right? You have to be such a possibility thinker. I'll be honest, I can't I could not have built, like Tesla or SpaceX or whatever, like that would be beyond my capabilities. Now, I can take something that is well understood and make it very good. I can live in a world where there's a great idea, and through hard work and determination, make something great about it, right? Which I think is most Americans, right? I'm like most Americans. I can be very successful, right? But we need people that are genius level to create other types of opportunities. Our problem is so big with inventory, and affordability is so, like, the cost of new homes is so unaffordable that it's going to take a massive idea that is scalable to solve our problem of lack of inventory. So the next big thing better be cheaper than how we build currently and create more opportunity for people to buy homes affordably.
What about, like, I've seen the tiny home stuff and the small footprint and these new
Yeah.
subdivisions and that are master planned. Is that something that you see could be appropriate, especially for us growing older population? A lot of these master planned communities, like the villages, are massively popular.
Yeah. That's I don't know if a lot of it comes into what is the appetite of most consumers, right? Now, if you go back to like the 1940s, 50s, 60s, how many 1,000 square foot ranch style homes were built in the city of Lansing? 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, unfinished basement, just 1,000 square foot modest homes. Uh, the, I mean, thousands, millions of those homes were built, through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. The appetite really changed, in the 1990s and after 2000 to go to these bigger homes. So it would take a taste to change in terms of with the American people, that they would go back to living in a smaller home, even kids sharing a bedroom, bunk beds. I mean, my sister shared a room. I think there were even times where I shared a room with my sisters, right? And those were things that people used to do that you hardly ever hear of now, or God forbid you only have one bathroom, right? And then 5 people in a home have to share a bathroom. People lived differently back then, right?
Yep.
And if we went back to building 1,000 square foot houses, that's not a tiny house, and yet that would change affordability to some capacity. That could create some opportunity for like the 3D printing of homes and things of that nature that are legitimate. Again, it just requires people to change the way that they live in order to come up with a different future, right? Um, so it's a lot of possibilities. Uh, it just comes down to honestly, a lot of it comes down to governmental initiative. What does the government want to see done? What will they support in terms of zoning regulation? And will people buy it, right? Um,
Yeah.
in order to do tiny housing in most of Michigan, it would require zoning changes. For in most in most cases, in most communities, minimum square footage for a home is like 800 square feet. Most of the tiny houses are 4 to 5, 600 square feet. So it requires zoning changes, requires um honestly more deviation from current zoning regulations.
Brock, do you think that that big money that got into buying up vacant homes, and I'm talking about investment money, like big, big, big money, got into it, and that kind of elevated the cost of these homes. It kind of sucked up some of the supply, and is that something that we should be anticipating moving forward?
Um, not in our location. Um,
Good to
it's
know.
some areas of the country, yeah, there's tremendous inflow of wealth to develop and things of that nature. I mean, if and this is just a small, like, let's take Orlando as an example, right? In mid-Michigan, we'll have just over 6,500 sales in the course of an entire year. Orlando, there's over 6,000 house sales a month,
Ooh.
right? So you're just talking about, a few million people in a geographic area. Uh, that right, mid-Michigan, 400,000 people living in a 30-mile radius with a very predictable amount of real estate exchange each year. Um, it's it every market is so different. That's why when we look at national statistics, they just tell such a, you can take the averages, but the averages don't mean a whole lot, right? It is something that can give you an overall health score, for like an entire market. Um, like, is the market improving? I mean, on a national level, but community to community is really, everything has its own story. A new employer to an area can be a dynamic game changer. Um, I still don't know, and I think it's weather based, but why is it that such a beautiful state like Michigan can't attract a top company like Microsoft or some other cutting edge company to come do something special here? At one point, Austin, Texas had 2,000 new people moving there a day, right? We haven't seen a significant attracted employer to mid Michigan in my whole life. Every year we graduate 10,000 people from Michigan State University and all of them leave, right? What are we doing wrong? No offense to the government people here, plenty of blame to spread around. Why don't we have any meaningful growth in mid-Michigan when it's probably, I mean, every time I travel, I say it's not better than Michigan. We literally live in the most beautiful state in the United States. Drive 1 hour, you're in paradise. Drive not no more than an hour and 10 minutes in every direction. You're at a great lake. How are we not like, and by all means, don't move here. I love what we're doing here, but what are we doing wrong to not have growth here in a meaningful way?
That Brock Fletcher's such a great guy. He has picked up some slack financially for us as a sponsor, and I want to acknowledge him for doing that because without him, without our sponsors, this show does not happen. And I need you, really, everyone, I need you to really think about supporting our sponsors. Craig, Brock, our friends, support everyone that's good. Help people get better. That's all there is to it. Brock can do this for you. He's awesome. Until next time, everybody, I'm Papa Tom. We'll see you again. Peace out. Love y'all. Have a great day.